Good boy, Tucker.
Welcome, everybody.
Welcome.
Hey.
Welcome.
Work smarter where you want.
Consistency is key.
And remember, if it's not in Redtail, it never happened.
This is learning at its most fun.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Redtail webinar. My name is Haley Mandrup, and I'm known as the Empress of Efficiency over here at Redtail. And today we're talking about how to handle client loyalty. So we're kind of stepping away from efficiency, streamlining, all of that, and talking about that client relationship. First and foremost, your CRM, of course, holds client data. That's important. But what benefit is amassing all of this client data if you're not doing something with that information? I once had a phone call from a client and she was very upset. Her advisor had told her to fill out every field on every single contact record. And she was near tears. She said, I don't even know what some of these fields mean. I don't know. I don't have this information. Do I call them and ask for this information? And I said, well, let's see what your advisor's goal was, because there's got to be a goal in mind. She's not just having you fill this out for no reason. So we got the advisor on the phone, and the advisor said, listen, I want to maximize my use of Redtail. I want us to use Redtail to the best of our ability. I want us to do the very best that we possibly can. And I said, oh, okay, well, knowing that, I get why you wanted every field filled out. But that's not the way to get the most out of the CRM. The way to get the most out of Redtail is by putting information in with a purpose in mind. So you're not going to fill out every single field if you don't have a reason to fill out every single field. Now, some things that are just smart, they're just smart to fill out. Phone numbers, email addresses, dates of birth, gender, marital status, children's names, like that kind of stuff. Absolutely put it in there. It's smart to have. You probably need it at some point when filling out a client form or just in conversation with the client. It's probably best to know basic things about your clients that you can have us in the CRM to remind you of. But what about, so that's kind of like addressing what you have to have at a basic level. So at a very basic level, what do I have to have? But then what is nice to have? What is it beneficial to have? What enhances that client experience? And how do I encourage client loyalty? And these are all the questions that we'll be answering today. So what is client loyalty? Client loyalty is encouraging and embracing that relationship with your client in the hopes of retaining a healthy client relationship with your firm for other purposes. So you're hoping that you have a healthy relationship with your clients so that when they do pass on their money or their finances or whatever it is, then their generational family stays with your firm. You want to have a great relationship with them to encourage a relationship with their beneficiaries. Or maybe you want to have such a great relationship with your existing clients that they tell all their friends about you, because your quality clients may refer other quality clients to you. Or maybe you just want to have a great relationship with your clients because you're really honestly, I know most of us do, we honestly care about their financial health. And we want them to know that we care about their financial well-being, but also their well-being as a family unit. And especially in current times, we want them to know that we care about them. So there's many reasons that we would have a loyal relationship with our clients. And we want them to be loyal to us just as we are loyal to them. And we want them to trust us just as much as we trust them in the client relationship. So, all of that aside, it's also just financially smart, right? Retaining clients costs a lot less than constantly turning over your clients and prospecting for new ones, which costs marketing dollars and firm time, and then onboarding them, all of that paperwork, all of that, those meetings that go into play, all of the data entry. That's a lot of information that you don't want to be turning over constantly. If you're prospecting, the hope is you're going to retain that client going forward. So it makes financial or fiscal sense to have a great relationship with your existing client base. In all of Redtail's other training videos, we always start with talking about status and category and making sure you know that who that person is to your business. And when you start embarking on maybe a journey of data cleanup or cleaning up information within the CRM, you always start with your highest tier clients first. So with our client loyalty, we're always going to start with our highest tier clients first, our most valuable clients, however you define value. You could define value as the AUM, the assets under management they have with you. You could define value as those who have been your clients through the most generations. You could define value by saying, these are my clients that are new and ramping up their careers. They need the most of my attention, however you define that value. So what are our recommendations? Let's go into the CRM. What do we recommend keeping track of for the reasons behind client loyalty? So where does that relationship really come from, and what fields benefit that relationship? Let's go to one of my favorite contacts. We'll go to Miss Dolly here. Now, Dolly is an active client, and she actually is a category of AAA, so she's one of my top tier clients here under the contact details. So she's an active client and a AAA, and I want to keep track of some information about Dolly so that I can let her know that she's appreciated in different ways. First, let's talk about birthdays. Birthdays are a great way to show your clients that you appreciate them. You can send a card, you can send a call, just give them a phone call. You can maybe send a text if you have a compliant text messaging solution. You can send an email. I think one of the most creative things I've seen is an office recorded a video using one of those phone apps where you can put your face on little dancing cartoon characters. And they put the advisors and the staff's faces on the little dancing cartoon characters, and they sing happy birthday. And you can sing that happy birthday to your clients. It's a laugh, and it's quite fun. So how do we manage birthdays in Redtail? Well, first, you're going to go to the contact details, and you're going to put in their date of birth. And just enter it in here. And then Redtail will automatically select this option to enable your date of birth reminder. What does that do? That puts the reminder on your today page, on your calendar, and it allows you to run Dolly onto our client birthday report. And there's many ways that you can manage birthdays, but this is one of the fields that we'll lay the foundation for to be able to run birthday reports or manage birthdays in a way that's right for your office. So enter the date of birth and enable that date of birth reminder. Now, date of birth is important to know for all of your clients, right? We need that for a lot of reasons. We need to know how old they are. We need to know that for account openings, like that's an important field to have. What if they don't want their birthday celebrated? Personally, I'm not big on my birthday. I would tell my advisor I really don't or prefer that my birthday is celebrated if I ended up getting something from them. So for those clients that maybe have a religious reason or they don't like their birthday celebrated or acknowledged for a certain way, uncheck the enable birthday reminder. You can still have their birthday in the system, but we're being respectful to their wishes by unselecting enable date of birth reminder. And we've turned it off for that particular person. You can also do this for your maybe A and AA clients who we don't acknowledge birthdays for. Or maybe if you have A, B, C, and D clients, you uncheck it for your D clients and you don't have them coming up on your birthday list. Totally an option. We're going to update those details, and that's it for managing the birthday for Dolly. And then we're going to talk about how to see her birthday different places in the system. So I actually do want hers on for these purposes. And then while we're here on the contact record, let's talk about a couple other fields you'd want to maybe acknowledge in some way. First would be marital anniversary. That's another notch in the belt for a lot of folks as they are married and the years go up and up, that you can recognize maybe certain milestones or certain, I forget what they're called, but they're themes, right? Different marital anniversaries have different themes. The first one's paper and so on. So you could have some type of marital anniversary that you acknowledge. I always challenge advisory offices to think outside the box. Maybe don't celebrate the 25th, the 50th, maybe celebrate the 27th. Or for me, it was the 7th whenever we were married under 6 years and someone would ask, how long have you been married? I would say, 5 years, 4 years, 7 years. And they always said, haven't made it over the 7-year hump yet. And for me, I hated hearing that. It was super annoying. So once we passed 7, I was like, I'm never going to hear that joke again. I'm really excited about that. Maybe your office could recognize 7 years or 9 years or something along those lines. Like maybe they've been married as long as your office has been open. They're just ideas. And then a third field, while we're still here in this section, is the client since field. Now, if I had to guess on probably the most underutilized, valuable field in Redtail among all Redtail clients, it would be this field right here. This is the client since field. This is how I know how long they've been with my firm. How long have we had this relationship? Facebook kind of tells you how many years you've been friends with somebody or so-and-so. This is that field in your CRM. How long have they been a client with us? So as you onboard your clients, maybe add it to your onboarding process to fill out this field. Now, for some of you watching this webinar, you might say, okay, Haley, that's realistic going forward, but what about everybody that's been my client for I don't know how long? That's okay. You can fill out this field using January 1st of whatever year approximately you think it was. And then you can always, whenever you're writing your congratulations or card or email or whatever you're acknowledging how many years they've been with you, always just use the word over. And then you're never saying it's exactly 5 years. You're saying you've been a client for over 5 years. And then you're still correct. So client since, date of birth, marital anniversary. And update those contact details. You've got 3 fields with which we can interact with Dolly and run reports in the system to see in ways we can engage with her. So let's go ahead and look at some places where we can look at her birthday, her marital anniversary, and then her client since anniversary. The birthday is the most prevalent. The birthday is going to show on the today page when it's someone's birthday. I scroll down just a little bit here. It's going to show here, so you can click on them. Some advisors like to call on the day of, so you could make it a daily task to call on the day of. That's maybe if you have a smaller book of business or you're only looking during the week and kind of just calling whoever comes up. Or you can utilize the calendar. And the calendar has the ability under actions to show client birthdays. So maybe if you're curious how many birthdays there are in March, you can see we've got Harvey, Marcus, Kevin. We've got quite a few birthdays here. And be cautious or careful because we don't want to miss any birthdays that fall on a Sunday or a Saturday. So the calendar with your weekend showing is a great way to see how many birthdays are going on this month. Personally, my favorite place to see birthdays is going to be through the search. And I'll tell you why. Because the search can run to a report where then you can print out labels or cards and send a birthday card to your client base. So we're going to go to contacts on the left, advanced search at the top, and we're going to run a search. And Redtail has lots of other videos about how to use the search in general. We're going to look for birthdays specifically. And whenever we run a search, we want to start with the highest level of search. So we want to look for all of our clients first. Contact, status, equal to, client, active client. And then we want to start to limit our search. Now that we're looking at all of our clients, let's look only for people who have their birthday turned on. Because remember, we may have people who, for whatever reason, religious or otherwise, they don't want their birthday celebrated. I still remember sending my cousin a birthday card, and he was Jehovah's Witness, and he sent it right back and said, please don't send these to me in the future. And I felt terrible. We definitely don't want to have that experience with clients. So we're going to limit our search by clicking and then we're going to say contact date of birth reminder is equal to true. So it's turned on. I want to limit my search of clients with a birthday turned on. And then we're going to limit it one more time because we probably aren't going to run this on a yearly level. I can't think of a scenario where you'd need to do that, maybe, unless you wanted to see the breakdown of your client birthdays overall. And then you can go to contact date of birth month equal to, now currently we're in the month of August. I would probably run it for September at this point and be looking forward to the next month and see who all has birthdays coming up in September. I've only got one. And that one person I can then run to a birthday report, or I can generate labels straight from here. Select that box, go to contact options, run labels, maybe print directly on envelopes through a mail merge. And a mail merge is something that I would have built in Word, and then I'll print those out, save it as a note. Birthday card sent. And then I'm going to label this as maybe a personal touch or something along those lines. So we're going to run that mail merge and open up his birthday card. All right, it opened on my other screen here, but it's going to open up his birthday card. So, and then you can print all these out, put them in envelopes, and get them ready to mail on the appropriate days, probably a week before when that person needs to actually get their birthday card. All right, I'll pull that up in a little bit here. Another option for acknowledging the birthday would be to send them an email. Maybe we're a little bit more modern. We don't need to send a paper card, but we're going to send an email to them. And that way we can recognize them on the day of their birthday. So you can also go to contact options here and then bulk actions and broadcast email from the CRM. And then we can select maybe a birthday template that has a cute little message or maybe a graphic and says happy birthday, and then we can send them the birthday card. I like how some companies acknowledge birthday by month. So maybe you have a certain day, like the 2nd or 3rd of the month, where you send everybody an email who has a birthday that month and says happy birthday month, and then maybe has an educational article attached to it or something. If you have Wells Fargo or other banks, sometimes when you go to the ATM during your birthday month, it says happy birthday month. So they're not looking to send a specific message to you on your day, but they celebrate the whole month for you based on whenever you go in. There's different ways to definitely build a flexible way of acknowledging birthdays or other events. So you're not always having to hit exactly that right day and stress out over managing hitting the right day for every single person in your client base. Okay, and then that birthday card did open over here. And then this is set up to print on both sides. So it'll print happy birthday on one side, and it's 2 cards. So you'd cut it in half, and it has a little message to it. And then maybe your advisor can hand sign them or something like that. All right, so that's birthdays. Definitely. Most of you probably already have birthday lists. You do contact date of birth month equal to. I think the one probably new piece of info is that ability to turn the birthday reminder on or off. And it's definitely something that adds a huge value. You can also run a search for your marital anniversary or your client since month. And then we could select September and see who all is having client anniversaries for your client since month. But unlike birthdays, your marital anniversaries and your client since anniversaries, they're kind of more fun to recognize based on certain thresholds. And what I mean by that is maybe you want to see all of your clients who've been clients for 5 years, or you want to see all of your clients who have been married more than 10 years. Then we want to use a report in those we want to use a report in those instances. So we'll go to reports over on the left-hand side, and then we'll scroll down to reminder reports. Now there is a fun new feature here where you can favorite certain reports. So you can favorite your client since anniversaries and your client wedding anniversaries. So now I don't have to scroll down in the future. I can scroll back up to the top and I can just access those anniversary reports from right up here. So the client since anniversary is not only going to show us the anniversary date, but it's going to show us how long they've been a client. So I've had clients for 6 days, and then if I scroll down, I've had clients for almost 14 years. And I can see there's a wide span of time that I've had a bunch of clients. The client since field is useful to recognize these anniversaries. It's also useful for seeing how many clients you prospected for in a given year that are still clients. So I could look for everyone that became a client in 2015 and say, oh, that was a really good year. 20 clients came on that year. But maybe in 2016, only 5 clients came on board or are still with me that came on board that year. So that's kind of outside recognizing client loyalty, but it's still something that's really beneficial to use that field for. And then we can filter, of course, we can filter to 90 days past due, 365 days in advance, and look for only people who are current clients and maybe our AAA category, and even filter to a certain servicing advisor or writing advisor, because maybe we only want to acknowledge it for one advisor at a time. Probably limited myself too much here. Then we'll get a list of that advisor's anniversaries and how long they've had clients. Now they won't show on this report if they don't have a client since field filled out. And then just along those same lines under reports and then wedding anniversaries, it works very much the same. You can filter to and sort by time married and see who else coming up on different thresholds or marital anniversaries. So if you have clients that have a status of active client and then their spouse has a status of spouse of client, you're going to want to limit this to only active clients so your spouses don't come up in the report and you don't have duplicates. All right, so we spent a lot of time on those birthdays and anniversaries and all of that, but how do we communicate with them to interact regarding these fields? So we can set up something like this, like a Redtail communication guide. And really all this is trying to get you to do is step outside of the CRM, take a brain break from your daily admin or advisor tasks, and get creative and say, what are the ways that I or my office interacts with clients? And in the ways, thinking about the ways that we already interact with them, how can we build on that? So how do we have to communicate? We have to send them ADV forms, CRS forms. We have to send them like account opening forms when we're opening those. That's kind of all the business stuff, right? And then how can we interact in fun ways on top of it to maintain that healthy client relationship? Maybe our A clients get birthday emails, our double A's get a birthday email and a phone call on the day of. And then our AAA clients get a birthday card and maybe a cookie tin. Or I've seen like really extravagant birthday gifts to just a birthday acknowledgement. But maybe your different tiers of clients get different acknowledgments. And then maybe you have a social email annually just to check in and say, okay, well, I'm going to check in with my clients whose last name ends with J in August. And you've segmented out your client base so that everybody gets some type of social interaction at least once a year or twice a year. It's all about going into the system with that intention of saying, how do I interact more with my clients and really get the most out of that relationship so that they constantly see our firm's name and have a good association with our firm. Now, there's different ways to send these different correspondences. You can send them over snail mail or email or phone, whatever it is. I recommend switching it up as much as possible and catering to your clients' communication preferences as much as possible. So keep in mind that you may have some clients that don't want to get paper mailings or anything along those lines, or some that don't like phone calls. I'm not a fan of phone calls personally. So on my client record, I might have a user-defined field that says email only. What's a user-defined field? How do we manage that? A user-defined field is a customizable field on the contact record where you can keep track of their specific answers to your specific questions. So if you wonder about your clients, what's their favorite sports team? Or how do they like their coffee? What's their favorite beverage? Or how do they like to be contacted? How do they prefer to sign documents? Is it a wet signature or can I send them e-signature options? All of those questions that you have that Redtail doesn't have fields for can be kept under user-defined fields. So let's add one for my database for communication preference. So we're going to go under our name in the top right-hand corner and then manage your account. And then we're going to go all the way down to manage database lists and to user-defined fields under contacts on the right-hand side. And we're going to add communication preference. Now with communication preference, I don't really want that to be an open-ended field. I don't want them to have like a bunch of options there. So we're going to make it a list of values. And we're going to say, we only want to know if they want us to call or email, or we could do postal mail. And that would be one way to restrict everyone's answers who's putting this field into the contact record to phone, email, or postal mail. Or you could be more flexible with it and say, well, no, let's do an any text because they may have specific information about their phone calls. Like they work Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So if we can call on Tuesday and Thursday, but email's best for other days of the week. So maybe you do want to be more flexible and have an any text field. So we'll add that. And then now when we go to a contact record, I can go to my recently viewed and go back to Dolly. I can add her communication preference. And whenever I go to reach out to a client, I'm going to check her communication preference first and make sure that I'm reaching out to her in the way that she told me she prefers that I reach out to her. So she is frequently on the road. Email to schedule a time. So she prefers that we just email her, let her know where she's at or where we're at and that we want to schedule a time. So far we've talked about 3 strict fields that count up birthdays, marital anniversaries, and client since fields. And then we talked a little bit about how to customize that particular interaction through user-defined fields. What about all that other information that I know, that you know, that your advisor knows about the client? Like their preferences or how they like maybe their food preferences or their hobbies or topics of conversation or things that you want to know about them, like maybe religion or political affiliation, things where you don't want to put your put your foot in your mouth when talking to the client. or different things you want to be able to cater to when sending a birthday card or a birthday gift of some sort. So where do we put all of that other info? Well, we're going to put it under Know Your Client on the left-hand side. And then we're going to go to Miscellaneous Client Info. And you can add a lot of that information as personal interests. This is where you can put that they love playing cribbage. I don't know if we've got any cribbage players watching this webinar, but my mom is all into cribbage lately. She plays a nightly game before bed, and she loves it. And anyone she talks to, she tries to get to play cribbage with her. I think she got her financial advisor to play cribbage with her. It's a card game. Maybe they are vegan or vegetarian. You want to know those things for whenever you have an event. Maybe they, whatever it is, it's an election year. I've heard a lot of clients calling me and saying, where do I put my client's political preference so I don't send the wrong correspondence to the wrong person? Then you can put that in personal interests. And all of this is searchable. So you can always search and say, I want to look at only this list of people versus this list of people, or I want to look at only people that prefer this versus that. Lots of options. It's all about getting creative. So those annual dates, how can we recognize them? How can we recognize them under normal times? And how can we recognize them in current times? For a marital anniversary, can we send flowers? Or one of my favorite examples from a client was that they sent reminders to each spouse a week before the anniversary. So they were reminding the husband and or the wife or whoever, and they were saying, hey, your anniversary is in a week. So if you haven't bought that present, now's the time to do it. So they were adding value, not by sending a present, but by reminding each of the spouses to recognize that anniversary together. Or a bottle of wine, or maybe their favorite beverage. With a client since anniversary, maybe call them and say, hey, I just wanted to say I appreciate you as a client. Can you believe it's been 5 years? That's crazy. Or an interest-based gift. If they're a camper or a hiker right now, you could get something along those lines, or an event or show tickets. Always check with your compliance team about any of Red Tail's recommendations. I know there's different restrictions on what gifts or acknowledgments you can send. And then birthdays. So card, if you have a better voice than mine, maybe you're going to call and sing happy birthday, or I give a donation on their behalf. That's been really huge in recent years, people putting on Facebook, donate to this birthday for my or this charity for my birthday, or something like that. And then what about annual events? So not every piece of client appreciation or every way to encourage client loyalty falls under a field in Red Tail that's particular to that person. Maybe there's ways we can encourage client loyalty among all of our clients, and we can build a community among our clients. Maybe we have a yearly New Year's event, a countdown party, or we provide them with a calendar. Valentine's Day, maybe we have a singles event or a singles event for a certain age or a certain gender. Mother and Father's Day, my favorite example of this is a make your own bouquet at the office. So you contact a local florist or gather a bunch of different flowers and have the ability for kids and their parents to come in and build their own bouquet. So they're not restricted to only the options at the grocery store or the florist. And then 4th of July, reserved seating for fireworks, themed email, Thanksgiving, you get the idea. There's a bunch of fun stuff that you can do, and you can keep track of all of this in Red Tail through your notes that it was done. You can keep track of people who are on your New Year's list through something like a tag group. And you can keep track of everyone who participated in Thanksgiving a certain year via a note or a keyword or a tag group or something like that. So there's a bunch of different ways to incorporate all of this. So there's client events that are based on something about them, their birthday, marital anniversary, and it builds. There's group events or holidays, and then there's client life events. So these events might happen once or more throughout their lifetime, but they're significant in some way. And what do those look like? Those look like a new baby. I'm with Redtail, so I couldn't skip the new puppy option, right? Maybe they've just adopted a new puppy. There's ways to acknowledge that. Graduation's huge, right? We want to recognize that they put in the time for graduating. And maybe graduation could be something you acknowledge for your client's children as well. That's a great way to enhance the client relationship, is acknowledge that their kids have reached a milestone. Marriage, new house. I heard of an advisor providing a wind chime to all of his clients who moved into a new house. And it came with a beautiful poem about, your new home and all of this. And I think he did it for first-time home buyers, but that was a great idea. Or maybe a branded candle with your office's brand on it. Retirement's a huge milestone that we're helping a lot of clients build for. So the biggest thing I've heard in the industry about retirement is that you want to keep your clients in the mindset that they're retiring to something and not retiring from something. I want to sink that in for a second. Let that sink in. They're retiring to something. They're not retiring from something. And you're the voice of that for them. So how do you boost that enthusiasm around retirement? And then milestones. Maybe they're worth more than $1 million, or they're worth more than 2 or 5 or 10 or however big your book of business is. Congratulations. We've reached a milestone. All our work is for something. What are creative ways that we can acknowledge our clients in order to recognize that client relationship? And then all of these different ways, again, go back into Redtail and can be managed or recognized through adding a note that something was acknowledged, or from the contact record, you can go to common tasks and run a mail merge or send a specific email to Miss Dolly that we have some type of acknowledgement for her. I can click on her email address and then pull up one of my templates. These templates are something that you would rewrite on a yearly basis. So you would have your birthday, retirement. Retirement, you probably have the same because most you have people retiring more than once. But you can develop these templates maybe in December or November for the next year, and only develop them once for the whole year, and then use the same birthday card for a whole calendar year, and then only redo it every year. And that way nobody gets the same birthday card twice. Nobody gets the same client anniversary card twice. Or you can recognize a theme or develop a themed out milestone birthday cards. There's lots of ways to implement this, but I'm just giving you ideas. And then one final note here is with your templates, it's hard to know where to get started. And I just showed you a bunch of templates that myself and the other Redtail trainers have put work into developing. Those are available to you at no cost. They're available on our help desk. So if you go to that little question mark in the top right-hand corner, and then go to Redtail Help Desk, and just type in the word templates, any sample templates or templates, and then click enter. And it's going to bring up Redtail sample templates where you can see all of our available email templates, mail merge, cards, envelopes, letters, name tags, and any of those available options. So your email templates are going to be here, cards are there, and then of course we've got other templates around other topics as well.
Thanks so much for joining us today for this particular session. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to give us a call at 800-206-5030, option 3 for support, or just shoot us an email over to support@redtailtechnology.com. Thanks a lot and have a great day.